Picture this. You walk into a room full of cameras, strangers who already know each other's deepest secrets, and a group of people who have been filming together long enough to smell fear on a newcomer. Now imagine you're nervous. Not just first day of school nervous, genuinely, viscerally anxious, and your one instinct is to protect yourself the only way you know how in that moment. So you keep your sunglasses on. That's the image I keep coming back to when I think about Kiana Carroll's debut on The Valley. Because here's the thing about reality television that casual viewers sometimes forget. The edit doesn't always show you the internal experience. It shows you the external behavior. And when those two things don't match, the audience fills in the gap with whatever story feels most satisfying. In Kiana's case, the story people reached for was not a generous one. She walked in with her sunglasses on. She didn't take them off. She seemed cool, not warm, not open, not eager to impress. And the internet, with the speed and precision it reserves for new Bravo girlfriends, immediately made up its mind about her. Pretentious. Snobbish. Too good for the room. Some people went further, much further, and started speculating about why she seemed so detached, throwing out theories about her state of mind that were, frankly, not kind and not based on anything real. And that's the part that I think deserves more attention than the sunglasses themselves. Kiana Carroll has now come out and addressed the drug speculation directly. She said, and I want to be careful to represent this fairly, that comments suggesting she was under the influence of anything were not only wrong but actually painful to read, because her body's current relationship with those substances is serious enough that they would send her to the hospital. She said it plainly and without dramatics. And that honesty, to me, reframes the entire conversation. Think about what it takes to walk into that environment having never filmed reality television before and knowing that millions of people are going to watch you and form opinions about you in the first 30 seconds of your appearance. The pressure of that is genuinely hard to overstate. And Kiana didn't have the advantage that someone like Tom Schwartz had: years of being filmed, years of learning how to perform comfort even when you don't feel it, years of understanding the specific emotional language of Bravo television. She was brand new. She was nervous. And she reached for the only shield she had on her in that moment. Sunglasses. Now, do I think the sunglasses read badly on camera? I'm not going to pretend otherwise. In the context of a group hangout where everyone is trying to connect and be seen, keeping your eyes hidden creates distance. It reads as guarded. It can read as dismissive. I understand completely why viewers reacted the way they did, because visual language on reality TV carries enormous weight, and a pair of sunglasses indoors, whether intentional or not, sends a very specific signal. But here's what interests me more than the fashion choice itself. The consistency of Kiana's explanation. She didn't come out swinging. She didn't go on the defensive in a way that felt performative or calculated. She basically said, yes, I know how it looked. I looked like a diva. I own that read, but here is what was actually happening underneath it. And there's something disarmingly self-aware about that. Most people, when confronted with negative public perception, either deny everything or over-explain in a way that feels rehearsed. Kiana seemed to do neither. She also addressed something I found genuinely fascinating: the handshake criticism. Apparently, on top of the sunglasses situation, viewers and even some of Tom's family members took issue with how Kiana greeted people. Too formal. Too stiff. Not warm enough. And her response to that was rooted in something real. She works in fashion. In that world, the standard greeting isn't a handshake. It's warmth, it's physical closeness, it's a kiss on the cheek. The social register she operates in daily is completely different from the one she walked into on The Valley, and she didn't have the script for how to bridge that gap in real time, on camera, under pressure. That actually makes a lot of sense to me. More sense than the alternative reads people were reaching for. But I want to pause here and think about Tom Schwartz for a second, because I don't think he's entirely absent from this story emotionally. Tom has spent years, literal years, being the soft, conflict-avoidant, emotionally unavailable partner on television. His marriage to Katie Maloney played out in front of all of us, and what we saw was a man who consistently struggled to show up with clarity and intention. The relationship had real weight to it, real love probably, but also real dysfunction, And when it ended, a lot of viewers were watching to see what version of Tom would emerge on the other side. Now he's on the valley. Now there's Kiana. And the question that quietly hums underneath all of this is, has Tom actually done the internal work? Or is he in a new chapter with the same emotional toolkit? Because the way a partner introduces someone new to their world matters. The way they set that person up to succeed or fail in a group dynamic says something about where they are emotionally. I'm not suggesting Tom did anything wrong intentionally, but I do wonder, how much did he prepare Kiana for what walking into that environment would actually feel like? Did he give her the full picture? Did he help her understand that his friends are not just people who care about him, they are people who have filmed their lives together, which creates a kind of intimacy and loyalty that outsiders can feel immediately and powerfully? I'm genuinely curious about that. And then there's the audience reaction itself, which went somewhere I didn't entirely expect. Once Kiana explained herself, the nerves, the glasses, the fashion world context, something shifted. People started softening. The comment sections that had been fairly brutal began to recalibrate. Which tells me something interesting about this particular Bravo audience. They are reactive and quick to judge, but they are also capable of updating their opinion when given real, human context. That's actually rarer than it sounds. What it suggests to me is that viewers weren't necessarily against Kiana. They were against the version of Kiana that the edit presented, which, and this is important, is not the same thing as Kiana herself. That gap between the televised version of a person and the actual person is something every Bravo cast member has to navigate, and some of them never fully figure it out. The ones who do tend to be the ones who lean into honesty rather than image management. And Kiana, at least in this instance, chose honesty. Whether that continues as she films more is a completely different question. Here's what I keep turning over in my mind though. The Valley is a show built on emotional history. These people have backstories with each other that run deep, through Vanderpump Rules, through shared experiences, through watching each other's relationships begin and collapse and begin again. Kiana is stepping into that world as an outsider in a way that even a confident, socially fluid person would find challenging. And she's doing it while being Tom Schwartz's girlfriend, which comes with its own complicated emotional weight considering how his last serious relationship ended and how publicly it ended. The scrutiny on her was never going to be neutral. It was always going to be filtered through people's feelings about Tom, about Katie, about what that chapter meant. She was never just Tom's new girlfriend walking into a room. She was a symbol of a next chapter that some people aren't sure they're ready for. And I think some of the hostility she encountered, even from family members, which is worth sitting with for a moment, might have been less about her and more about what she represents. The closing of a door. The finality of something that a lot of people watched and felt invested in. None of that is her fault. But she's carrying some of that weight whether she signed up for it or not. So where does this go from here? That's the part one genuinely don't have a clean answer for. Kiana seems self-aware enough to grow into the experience of being filmed. She seems honest enough to have earned some goodwill back after a rocky introduction. But reality television has a way of creating pressure that reveals things even the most self-possessed people don't see coming. The longer she films, the more the cameras will catch her in moments she didn't anticipate, in conversations she didn't plan, in emotional spaces she may not want shared with millions of strangers. And Tom Schwartz, sweet, complicated, perpetually unresolved Tom Schwartz, will be right beside her navigating his own version of all of it. I want to see how this unfolds. I really do. I want to see if Kiana finds her footing and becomes someone this audience genuinely roots for. I want to see if Tom is capable of being a better partner the second time around than the cameras caught him being the first. I want to see if the initial impression gives way to something more layered and real. But I also know better than to assume that reality TV rewards people for getting better. Sometimes it just finds new ways to expose where they're still stuck. What did you think of Kiana's explanation? Did it change how you saw that first appearance? Or does your original read still feel right to you? Drop it in the comments, because I have a feeling the storyline is just getting started.